Hey everybody, my name is Ryan Press and I'm the librarian at Albert Hill Middle School, and I'm here today to talk to you guys about news versus opinion. And this is a really crucial distinction for you to be able to make, especially in today's society where the news media makes up such a big looming part of our daily lives. And news is considered accurate factual information, and opinion, if you remember, is someone's beliefs about a particular topic. And this curriculum and this information comes from the Civic Online Reasoning, which is part of the Stanford History Education Group, which is a great resource to check out if you're interested in this kind of stuff. So before we get started, I want to see what you guys can kind of determine about news versus opinion already. So this is a CNN search about, if you look at the top, year-round school. And these are two articles on CNN, which is a news website, about year-round school. So what I want you to do is, after I read the question, I'm going to count down to 1. When I get to 1, I want you to pause it. And I want you to write down your answer to the question after looking at the search results. When you're done, hit play, and then we'll go over it. So the question is, which of these articles would you read if you were trying to learn the facts about whether year-round schooling helps students learn more? Okay, so consider that question and write your answer down in a full sentence and pause it in 3, 2, 1. Okay, welcome back. So let's go over this. So when you guys were considering these two search results, you might have, with the question, which of these would help you learn more, you might have noticed the dates are different. They're not very far apart, but in this context, the dates don't actually matter. If you were doing a research question, the newer information is usually better, but in this context, it doesn't matter. You might have looked at the titles. The title is also not relevant information to the question here either. Neither is the actual content of the article. So the actual little blurb right here doesn't really matter. There's only one thing you need to think about which of these would help you learn more about whether year-round schooling helps students learn more. And it's news versus opinion. So if you didn't see that or notice that, this is the only crucial piece of information. This first article is someone's beliefs that are going to be biased. This bottom one is news that's going to portray facts. So in print newspapers, this is the New York Times, newspapers started separating and labeling opinion pieces in the early 1800s. Before that, in early newspapers, that all articles, news articles would have been blended with opinion pieces all in one place, and it could get very confusing. By the 1950s, all reputable newspapers, such as the New York Times, had separate opinion pieces, or they labeled those pieces as opinions. And if you have forgotten this, opinion is someone's beliefs, while news should be accurate information. So news stories in print newspapers and online are held to a higher standard than opinion pieces. And what I mean by that is they should be objective. So they should not have any bias in them. Now, we all know that bias is everywhere and it's impossible to avoid, but good news articles should show as little amount of objectivity and bias as possible. News articles should also be accurate. They should portray the facts as they happen, and they should be balanced. So if it's a news article about a controversial issue, all different sides and opinions on that issue should be shown. Opinion pieces, on the other hand, are not held to these same high standards. They're expected to be biased. They're expected to try to convince you to feel a certain way about a certain issue, and they're expected to kind of use the facts to support their own opinion. So that's why it's crucial when you're reading something to be able to determine whether or not it's a news or an opinion, because if it's news, you can trust the information there. If it's opinion, you can still use it and you can still trust it, but you have to be aware that someone's trying to convince you to believe a certain way about something. Now, on online sources, opinions can be kind of the difference between news and opinion can kind of be a little bit tricky to determine. So I'm going to show you 5 ways that it can be labeled. So this is from the New York Times website. Notice it's an article, Alabama's Cruel and Unusual Prisons, and it has the word opinion and it's circled right there. That's pretty obvious. Oftentimes, news websites will put their opinion pieces under a specific tab, but sometimes they blend them in with actual news stories, so it can be a little confusing. Here's one that is called op-ed, and notice it's in the opinion section. Op-ed is just another nomenclature or another name for an opinion piece. And if you're an 8th grader, you've learned about op-eds in your civics classes already. Here on The Guardian, it's called a viewpoint. Remember, a viewpoint is the way someone sees a particular issue, so you can tell that's an opinion. Here, opinion section, and then it's the word commentary. Commentary is a person's particular beliefs about a certain issue or event. So that's opinion as well. And editorial. Editorial is just another word for an opinion piece. I know that's a little confusing. That's why it's really important to be able to see each of these different ways that it's written out. And sometimes opinion pieces are not labeled as opinion pieces. In good news websites, they should be, but sometimes they're not. Sometimes you just have to kind of tell by the title. Islamic terrorism remains the world's greatest threat to peace. When I read that, to determine whether or not it's an opinion, I ask myself, could someone argue against that? Yes, some other people might think that something else is the world's greatest threat to peace. So that makes it an opinion. So when you're reading the title of an article, oftentimes you have to ask yourself, is this opinion or not? And that just takes a little bit of practice. Okay? So what I want you to do now is I want you to go explore some of the news websites, and I want you to determine which pieces are news and which pieces are opinion. Some good news websites to check out are CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, ABC News, NPR. And you'll notice as you're looking through these different news websites that a lot of them can be fairly biased, even in how they portray the news. So that's why it's really, really important to be able to kind of figure out what is pure facts and which has bias and opinion in it. So I hope you enjoyed today's mini lesson, and I hope you guys are doing well. See you soon.